What's that? I try to. I try to. I
And a good Thursday night, everybody. Chris McDonald back with you. We're sorry about that little glitch there at the beginning, but we are back with our dear friend Tony Branco, the award-winning cartoonist and a good friend of ours tonight. And we hope that you will pardon the interruption. We'll get this screen fixed in a minute. Tony, good to see you tonight. It's been a great week in the country. I thought the State of the Union was, without a doubt, the best I think I've ever witnessed in my lifetime, and but I'll get your take on it. I don't think Trump could have given a better speech. By the way, folks, before we get going, comicallyincorrect.com is Tony's website, and we're gonna talk about some of his cartoons. But wanted to get your take on that. We got a situation developing in the Middle East tonight that looks like that our Navy is increasing its presence. We'll talk with you about that and the destruction of the Dems. But what was your thoughts on the State of the Union Tuesday night? I tell you, I've been around a long time, and I don't think any president was more clear and more coherent than what Trump was Tuesday night. It was a grand slam to me.
Yeah, it was amazing. He really kicked some royal butt. But I thought the biggest takeaway I got, other than Trump just doing a stellar job, was that the Democrats kicked their own butt by not standing at certain spots in there, and that is just not good politics, not good optics. But you know what? I think that was a strategy of Trump. He knew they wouldn't stand, and he framed it so well, especially when it came to I guess the high point of all that framing was when he said everybody that's for putting American citizens as far as they're constitutional and the government's job is to protect American citizens, not illegal immigrants. Not one of them stood. If any stood, I didn't see it. I heard a couple stood, but that was an opportunity for them to to lie, even to for the just for the pure optics of it, stand up to that, and then they can keep going on about their putting illegals first, but at least they had the optics of putting Americans first. But they couldn't even do that. Their their TDS and their Marxist ideology has got them so entrenched. And we were talking earlier about a tar baby. They're
Yeah.
in that tar baby of Marxism and TDS. They cannot pull their way out of it.
No, they cannot. And I don't think that, I don't know if they get it. I think there are some in their party that do. I think Fetterman gets it, but I think for the most part, this is on party lines. And I think what's happened is that radical left has so scared the middle group because there are some moderate Dems, Tony, that have got some common sense. I'm not saying I agree with their policy, but at least they're not Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. But you've got a party that has gone full-fledged communist on us, man. And
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a destruction of a party. And like you said, it's self-imposed. They've done this. And I know that they think that the American people are all on board with this. And maybe a third of the nation is, maybe a far, far West Coast type, maybe 25% are. But I can tell you, it's not playing well down south. It's not playing well in the Midwest. It may play well in the liberal latte drinking loon bombs up in the Northeast. But I can tell you, it ain't playing in mainstream America. That message it's just infuriating people.
They're on the 20% of every 80-20 issue.
Oh, without a doubt.
Voter ID for one. 80% of the American people, 70 to 80% of the people want voter ID, and they want the SAVE Act. They want to make sure that their elections are legitimate. And the Democrats are fighting tooth and nail against this voter ID. And there's only one reason why they would fight tooth and nail against voter ID and the SAVE Act, is that they want to keep cheating. That's their only way to maintain power. That's why they opened up the borders to flood these blue states full of illegal immigrants, so they get the census numbers, so they can maintain power, at least in the House, and then eventually turn them into voters and get them moved into some red states to where they could get some power in maybe the executive branch and the Senate. But they are desperate, and their desperation is showing.
Well, I have to say, I have been concerned about the midterms. When we entered this year of 26, I felt like there were some very bad omens, very bad signs. I hate to use the word omen, but I'll just say there were bad signs that the Dems were getting a little momentum. The situation in New Jersey, the margins of those wins, the margins of the win in New York City, the margin of the win in Virginia were huge. I mean, they were not close races. And then I watched this speech Tuesday night, and I got a sense there's a shift because Trump came to the rescue again of the Republican donuts. And these Republicans are worse than the Dems to me. But I think that he may wind up saving the party from itself, Tony, because I think that speech Tuesday night, even CNN was saying, hey, the Dems had it handed to them, and they've got to admit that this speech made them look bad. And look, when you lose CNN on the left, you're gone. I'm sorry, you're gone, brother.
Oh, yeah. But you have to realize that a lot of these areas, these blue state areas, a lot of the conservatives have moved out, went to Florida, Texas, different other blue state or red states, and their people, the voters, are dwindling in some of these. So you're less likely to get a conservative in New York or in Virginia. I still think there's a lot of cheating going on, and until they remedy that, like Washington State, where I live, another communist state, ever since they started this voter by mail, we have not had we used to have a Republican governor once in a while, but ever since this mail-in voting, we have not had a governor. The last chance we had was Dino Rossi, and he won it initially. He won.
And then they recounted.
And then they recounted. Well, he won again.
Yeah.
So they had to recount, and they kept finding these ballots in trunks of cars and in closets somewhere and pull them out and So they had ballots already standing by that were pre-filled out, I believe. And as they needed them, they brought them out. And so it's just ripe with the possibility of cheating. And I know that for a fact because I've gotten ballots in my mailbox that are for somebody else. I could have easily taken them and filled them out and sent them in. And this is happening all the time.
Wow.
It's just this blanket throwing out of ballots is just rife with potential for fraud.
It's unreal. For those just joining us tonight, folks, this is our dear friend Tony Branco. We've got a little issue with our video. The audio is perfect. So as long as you can hear what he says, that's why our box looks a little small in the screen. It's good they don't see our faces, Branco. Me and you've been told both we got faces for radio anyway, so it's good. This would be a radio show.
I've never looked better.
Yeah, I've never looked better either, actually. I actually like this small frame look. Don't have to worry about the wrinkles and everything. Hey, but staying on this, I think that the tone was set Tuesday night when that hockey team walked in, and very few Dems stood up. And then he told these stories, and I think you said something to me before the show, and I think it's absolutely correct. I think the earmark moment, this may be the earmark moment that saved the Republicans this year, was when Trump told them, basically, if you're here and the number one job of the government is to stand for Americans. And if you're standing for Americans, stand up. If you're standing for illegals, which are you going to stand for? And when he said that, and I think Fetterman was one of the only Democrats that stood up. Let me tell you something. That was to me the he was already kicking their tails from here to Texas. But I think that one was the anchor that sunk the ship.
That is a campaign ad that should run 24/7 throughout the country. Right there.
Absolutely.
They just made their own campaign ad. The Republicans did, if they want to win. We said before, they're on the 20% of every 80-20 issue as far as doing something about this voter ID and voter fraud. They're fighting it tooth and nail every inch of the way. And there's only one reason to do that, and that's because they want to cheat.
You mentioned the cheating. Why is it Thune and them doing more? I saw something today that infuriated me, and I'm sure you saw it too. Maybe this would be a cartoon. I've already inspired Branco. The Tar Baby thing, we were talking about that before the show, and Tony promised me if he makes $1 million on it, he's going to buy me a donut?
I'm going to buy you a candy bar.
A candy bar. He's going to buy me a candy bar for my contribution. So such is my luck in my life these days. I make $1 million idea and I get a candy bar out of it. But there was a thing on the House floor today, or Senate floor, where Tom Tillis of North Carolina was carrying a dog in a wagon, and they were doing this doggy parade in the Senate. John Thune goes in front of a camera and has the audacity to tell the American people, we don't have time to debate the SAVE Act today, so we're going to shovel this till another day. Tony, this should have been done yesterday, man. If these Republicans keep on, because this SAVE Act, I'm just a South Georgia boy. You are out there in the Northwest, but you and I have talked. You would fit right in down here with us Southerners, us Southern rednecks. You fit right in because we just see things from a common sense perspective. But let me tell you this: it's not racist to require you to bring an ID to go vote. I don't care what your color is. And it's the most insulting thing when they tell the blacks that, well, if they're going to disenfranchise blacks because they can't afford an ID. That is so racist in itself to even say that. But you're right. The reason they don't want to do is they're cheating. But that we're okay with that. But what I'm not okay with is these Republicans who know this, and they have dog and pony shows on the floor of the Senate today instead of doing their job and making people show an ID to vote.
Yeah, I mean, it's just common sense. They're voting. Rush Limbaugh's talk about voting against the will of the people. And when you have Republicans do it, you expect it from the Democrats. They've been voting against the will of the people for years. But when Republicans do it, I can't understand why they would do that. It benefits them. It benefits them to do the SAVE Act. So why are they? So it makes me wonder if they aren't really Democrats in disguise and pushing Democrat ideas or afraid. Some of these guys just like being in the minority. I believe it's comfortable there.
Well, let me go a little bit further than that. Let me ask you a blunt question. And I know I've got my opinion about this, and I'm sure other people have got their opinion about it out there too. You think they're being paid off by some of these elite lobbyist groups that are really are basically left-wing fascist groups, and they've got to have somebody on the right to sabotage it? Mitch McConnell here 3 days ago, they were going to bring it to the floor. He sabotaged a motion to bring the SAVE Act to the floor. Now, Thune today starts saying, well, we can't do it because we got to do the dog and pony show with Tom Tillis, who's nothing but a piece of turd, and I could go into that. You North Carolinians, y'all know how to pick them. But Tillis is as bad as McConnell. And you look at these Republicans, and it makes you wonder, is it more than being rhinos? Is it actually being part of this? I think it's the bigger establishment picture. It's no longer Republican Dem. It's elites versus people like us out here in the world, the common people, because, Tony, they're trying to hold on to power with everything they've got. And I think they're trying to run the clock out. That is my gut, too. Trump's got 3 years, and they're trying their best because they know that it don't matter who follows him on the Republican side, there will never be another Donald Trump. There just will not be unless we're fortunate.
They're missing a big, huge opportunity to get the things they say that they want. Now, do they really want them? Because it doesn't look like some of these people on the Republican side really want them. And they're willing to sacrifice themselves or and play these games when they're actually ruling against, they're voting against the will of the people. And they know it. They know that the majority of people, especially the conservatives, almost 90% of the conservatives who vote them in want this SAVE Act to go through. They want voter ID. They want to stop this mail-in voting stuff. And they want, they want our elections to be cleaner. Yet the Republicans are stopping it. They are stopping it. They're not doing what they need to do to make this happen. And I don't know the reason. I know that McConnell, he's not even there. I don't think he's there. So it's his staffers that are doing this. He's a zombie at this point. He's not well. And I believe that his staffers, and I believe staffers throughout the Republicans are Democrats, a lot of them. And they're thinking deep state stuff. They're thinking in terms of how can we perpetuate the deep state and protect ourselves and protect this Washington elitist, facade that we got.
Exactly.
So I don't know. It's really disheartening because it's so simple. The people want it. You should be voting for it. There is no other reason not to.
Without a doubt, buddy. Without a doubt. Well, I'll tell you this: if the Democrats steal things again this year, the Republicans have nobody to blame but themselves. They've had a chance, and I'm going to go ahead and throw another thing in the conversation. The Republicans have got to get rid of this stupid filibuster. I know that they are scared to death that if the Dems take power, they'll use it. Well, I tell you what,
they're going to use it.
They're going to use it, Tony, and not only that, but to be frank with you, if the Republicans would be smart and actually do what they're supposed to do, you wouldn't have a Democrat elected for 100 years. Because I'm sick and tired of this crap about the redistricting. And every time a Republican governor does it, everybody sues. Spellberger in Virginia redraws the district in Virginia to where it's down 95-5, Democrat to Republican. Even Utah, Mormon country, they've got now it was all 100% red. Now they've got a blue district there that they may steal a seat or two. And right now with these majorities being so thin, that's a lot of seats. It's a big deal. I'm the Republicans. Go scorched earth. You've got 9 months. Don't take any prisoners. Make sure that Dems go into oblivion.
Especially when you know what the Democrats are going to do when they gain power. They've already done it. They already tried to get rid of the filibuster. And if it wasn't for Manchin and what is her name, Cilibrand
down in Arizona. Yeah.
If it wasn't for those two people who are no longer there,
in New York,
if it wasn't for those two people, the filibuster would have been gone a long time ago. And then when they get back, they're going to do it. And we're sitting on our hands when we know what they're going to do, and we could get a lot of stuff done. So we go back to, do they really want stuff done? And I don't think they're hurt. I don't think they're helping themselves. And I think Trump just may drag them over the finish line in the 2026 election, maybe. But still, if they don't, we're in big trouble, because all they're going to do for the next 2 years is try to impeach Trump and not get one thing through. Nothing's coming through.
His agenda will end. It will end next year, and we have got to get out and vote. I implore the Christian community that we have got to get out and vote and make sure this don't happen. And we'll see what happens. What did you think about the Supreme Court ruling on the tariffs? Trump, I have to give him some credit. I was I was concerned that he was going to make that sort of the earmark of the night. He mentioned it. He said it was disappointing. He didn't call them any names. He didn't. He didn't say they're a bunch of. He didn't say they're a bunch of Brancos. He didn't say they're a bunch of McDonald's. He just said he was disappointed. And I have to say, I was like, boy, I did a big sigh of relief when he did that. John Roberts' face, he looks like he looks like Lurch right now. But I will tell you, I think that they really something themselves, because Tony, he's going to get these tariffs are going to go forward. He's got other means to do it. Even Kavanaugh told the other judges that. He said, y'all are really just nitpicking something. He said he may not be able to use this Emergency Powers Act, but he's got the presidential authority to do these tariffs in other ways. And yes, Congress sets that, but he's got executive power too. And he's going to get his way either way.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of game they're playing. Roberts is known for playing little games to make himself feel like he's kind of in the middle, like he's just being fair. But I don't think I think there are justices, supposedly constitutionalists, on our side who don't like Trump either. There are a lot of Republicans in the Senate and the House that don't like Trump. And he's not only does he have to battle the Democrats, he has to battle those in his own party, which is very disheartening. But I think you're right. I think he's going to use other means. And Gorsuch, I think, wrote the dissent, and that dissent was very powerful, very articulate. It kind of demolished Roberts, what Roberts said about the bill. So that. I think he's got a lot of things, and I did a cartoon about it a few days ago, where Trump has he has this little tariff gun, and then he says you can't use that, and then he says you have to find another way, and then Trump has it. The next frame, he has an even bigger gun with more options. So I think that's where he's going to go with it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that to download here, but we got problems tonight. Anyway, I'm with you. And it's just, I hate that we can't show all these great cartoons. Comicallyincorrect.com. Well, I will tell you this. Gorsuch disappointed me. He voted with the majority. It was a 6-3 ruling on that. Yeah. There it is. John Roberts saying you've got to find another way. And Trump's got tariffs and embargoes. And he tells him, no problem, I'll do what I got to do, And, very, very well done. I want to shift attention a little bit, to something else. And, we've not talked in a long time. We talked a few months ago, but this, Tony, this anti-Semitism on the right has just gotten out of hand. This thing with Tucker Carlson, the sit down he did with Huckabee, why have we gone down this path? And I want to ask you sort of a pointed question. It's not a gotcha question, but it is an opinion question. Do you think that J.D. Vance hurts himself by not distancing himself? And I say with the Trump White House, hurts themselves by not fully distancing themselves and coming out and saying, we totally repudiate what Tucker Carlson is saying. We totally repudiate what Candace Owens is saying. And sort of, instead of giving them like a mean look, like a parent gives a kid a mean look when the kid says something they don't want him to say, it's like, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, yeah. I think they have got to be more forceful in this and say, look, we totally repudiate this. We totally say no to this. Am I wrong on that?
No, you're not wrong on that. I think what they're doing is the Republicans and the conservative vote that voted them in are fractured right now. You've got the Tucker, the Candace, you've got the Dan Bongino, you got the Megyn Kellys, you got the War Room, you got all these different factions. And what they're doing is they're kind of I think they're just staying out of the fight and let them, because they're all for Trump. All of them are from Candace, Tucker, Dan Bongino, all of them, although they might be doing some little infighting, they're all still for Trump. And if he offends a half of those people, they're afraid that they're going to lose the vote, especially for the midterms. Now, me personally, I think Candace has gone off the deep end. She's a lunatic. She's become a lunatic. Tucker, I just he's going places I would never go as far as the anti-Israel, anti-Semite type stuff, and I'm very disappointed in it. I don't know why they're doing it. I have no idea. I don't know if it's for clicks or they're trying to cut off a little bit of their own little thing they can do to make money. I don't know. I know where my priorities are. My priority is with Israel. And I'm not saying that Israel's perfect. I'm not saying that Netanyahu's perfect or any way. I'm saying I stand with Israel. We need Israel. They need us. And there's a lot of arguments for that. And it's like they're not paying attention to those arguments.
Yeah, I'm with you 1,000,000%. Folks, you're watching a very special live McFiles Thursday night. We apologize for the video issues. Our audio should be fine with you. But we got our dear friend Tony Branco with you, comicallyincorrect.com. We encourage you to visit his website. And Tony, I think you make some good points there. I do believe it's votes. I think they're scared to offend that part of the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to have to tell you, though, from a spiritual standpoint, it's suicide. I mean, they may think they're winning, but I think it's going to ultimately bite them in the end. Because I do believe that people, these nuts on the right, and the woke right is as bad as the woke left. And to be frank with you, they're probably worse in many ways.
At least and I think they've done this too. And I think at least they need to, without addressing Tucker or Candace or any of these people, Fuentes or any of these people, addressing them personally, what they need to do is stand up for what they say they're against, or stand up for Israel, stand up for these different silly things. You know, you got Candace Owens attacking Charlie Kirk's wife, a widow with 2 children. She's going all in on these conspiracy theories. She has no proof, and it's just more division, and it makes me ill.
No, it makes me ill. And she's only, I think there's about 35 people that she's got listed now, the possibilities that kill Charlie Kirk. Yeah. The only name that's not on there is you, Branco. Yeah. I'm just saying, she's not accused you of it. She's not accused me or you of doing it yet, but hold your breath. That might be next if all this other stuff fails, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, what would get us in? It's like the Epstein files. Everybody's in the Epstein files. Elvis and Marilyn Monroe, I believe, were in the Epstein files. And they weren't even alive.
Well, I got us something to say. My brother may be listening out there. My niece found his name on the Epstein files. There was a John McDonald, and we had a little go at my brother about that. But I can't repeat what he said on the show tonight, but it was funny when we saw it. And but just for the record, no, it's not my real brother. That's a tongue-in-cheek joke. Some people out there are listening to that.
I thought it was hilarious when Whoopi Goldberg had to explain herself on The View after they had ripped Trump and ripped all these people. They say, well, he's in the Epstein files 32 times, and then it comes out that Whoopi Goldberg is in the Epstein files, and then she's going, no, I didn't do anything. Well, you're in the Epstein files.
Joy Behar the same way. Joy too. Why people watch that show, I don't know. Listen, what's your thoughts on the Middle East? We got cut off a while ago. We were getting ready to talk about the Middle East. How strong of possibility? It's funny. We've not heard a lot of what's going on behind the scenes with Iran, but I got the sense today, reading some of the posts and reading some of the articles, that they're not making any progress right now with these talks. And the Iranians, the Ayatollah tonight is reported that he's in a bunker somewhere. We got a dear friend, James Akers, and he was on our show just a few weeks ago, and he said that he felt like we lost an opportunity when this uprising took place, that we could have really put our full weight of the government behind these protesters. And I think that we were, saying maybe we were, maybe we wasn't. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, but I do believe that we're on the brink of something tonight that is not going to be good for the Middle East, even though long term it may be. But I do believe we're headed for another brush up with that Persian nation. What's your thoughts on that tonight?
Well, it's never a good idea to bring a loaded gun unless you plan on using it. And if Trump puts all this armada over there and doesn't use it and backs away from it, it's not gonna look well politically for him. So something tells me something's going to happen. Whether you have two sides of that issue on the conservative side, they don't want another war. He's getting us into another war that we can't win. Iran, you can't win that war because of all the other fractions that come with it. That will be in a quagmire. I don't know anything. What I'm doing in this regard is I'm putting my trust. I voted for Trump to handle these things and his administration to handle these things. And I'm just praying, and I do pray for our leaders, and I'm praying that he has the hand of God within his decisions, and that those decisions are good ones.
Me too, buddy.
And
Me too.
We don't know everything. See, that's where all these people have all these opinions about, oh, we shouldn't do this and we shouldn't do that. He shouldn't do that. You don't know what he knows. You don't know what his administration knows. And you have to, at some point, just have trust until you don't. Until, if it comes out that it was a screwed up thing that he did, then you can start, armchair quarterbacking or whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
until then, you got to kind of just kind of understand that you don't know everything that they know.
What has been your thoughts on the cartel situation? Speaking of conflicts, we took out a big cartel leader this week, and Mexico's up in arms. And there was a situation in Cuba today. I think that they shot a boat and 4 people were killed. Do you see tensions below us in the southern neighbors increasing? I've had a difference of opinion about that with some. Some believe it's just going to blow over time. What's Tony Branco's take on this? I think Trump is the only president, buddy, that we've had, again, another first for Trump. He's been the only one that I've ever known since I've been living and can understand life and understand politics, if you can understand this stuff. But he has confronted this evil that has been coming across our border with the fentanyl and the meth, and he's taken on a group, one of the most evil, wicked organizations, these Mexican drug cartels, that has done a lot of damage to this country. People probably underestimate what damage they've done, and their influence goes all the way up to the halls of Congress. But Trump is taking them on. And I salute him for it. And I'm grateful he's doing it. And I think that, while it is dangerous down there, I think long term, we're going to have he said it in the speech Tuesday night. And I love what he said. He said, we're going to have law and order, whether you want it or not. We're going to have law and order in this country. And I love that.
I do too. I think these cartels, when you add up all the wars, from I think it was World War II and throughout, and the Korean War and the Vietnam War and Iraq War, all those, you add them all up, more people have died from drug overdoses in this country in the last couple of years, than those all put together, from what I understand.
Right.
So these are these people who are pushing this drugs into our country, the fentanyl and all that. They are terrorists. They're killing our people. And you had the president, like he said the other night, our first obligation is to American citizens. And that's exactly what he's doing. And it makes me wonder whether or not these Democrats are getting rich off these drug sales.
Oh.
Somehow they're getting backdoor money. And they don't want it to stop. And it's sickening. People are dying, and I hope that he does whatever possible to stop it. Now, if Mexico gets a hold of it and starts stopping them, then we don't need to. But I think you should give them the choice. It just shows you how dangerous they are by what the cartels are doing in Mexico. I think Puerto Vallarta is under siege, or was. You have American citizens trapped in their hotels, and Mexico. Some of these these ports and these vacation spots have always been very safe. Maybe the rest of Mexico isn't, but these vacation spots have always been pretty safe. But now the cartels are branching out and going after it because they're upset about losing money, and they're losing millions of dollars by this, and you kill one of these guys, you kill one of these cartel bosses, it just gets filled up with another one.
Sort of like a moss. Like a moss, ain't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Me and you're going to be a big hit on Podbean. That's our audio website, but for those of you who are saying, what's wrong with the video tonight? We're having video issues. Thank God we're not having audio issues with the show tonight, but Tony's doing great. Listen, I want to ask you a question. I got about 10 more minutes with you. Folks, I encourage you to visit his website. We can't get these cartoons to show up on the screen tonight. But comicallyincorrect.com, you got some great ones. But I do want to ask you about the gold medal win. First gold medal the Americans won since 1980. And I've just been so proud of this hockey team. I love the movie Miracle. I've seen it about 20 times, and every time I see it, I tell you, the patriotism just rises up in me. The movie with Kurt Russell about Herb Brooks, and I actually watched the original video one night. There's a special on one of the streaming services that they had the hockey team from 1980 in its 46 years to the same day. It was so ironic that the same day they won in Lake Placid in February 22 of 1980, we won the gold in Italy. And, the country was in a mess then. I was a sophomore, getting ready to become a sophomore in high school that winter. And, of course, when you're a freshman in high school, about to be a sophomore, you don't know a thing. But I remember my parents, and I remember the country under Carter being so at a place that I don't think this nation had been in a long time, as far as low morale, high prices, inflation, just the sense the country was going in a bad direction. Carter was one of the worst presidents we've ever had, short of Joe Biden. Him and Joe Biden will probably go into my book as the first two worst presidents we've ever had, other than Obama. Obama had some sense, but these two just were completely out of it. But my point and question I want to ask you tonight is, do you think, because that hockey team changed the course of things in 1980, we elected Ronald Reagan later that year, do you think that this team is going to have, this win is going to have the same impact on the country this time as the win did 46 years ago? I hope it does, but there's a part of me, Tony, that believes we have gone so far left in this nation that instead of us celebrating this, there are people out there tonight, including Dems, but there's others out there that have turned this into if you're patriotic, you're racist. I was watching a video tonight, going back to Charlie Kirk. There's a black lady in Texas. She's part of a state house or one of the legislators. And no, I take that back. It was Florida, of all places. DeSantis was wanting to celebrate Charlie Kirk Day or something. They were trying to set a holiday. And she got up and said, well, I don't think that we should do that because he was a racist and he was, didn't contribute anything. And I look at this hockey team and I got a bad feeling that they're going to be dealt with the same way instead of being celebrated. And the reason that they're going to be treated that way is that they were patriotic and they love their country. And I'm proud of that of them.
Absolutely. Here's the thing, is patriotism, territorialism, and all that is contagious. And when you contrast people's patriotism, a lot of people were excited about the U.S. win and the gold medal, winning it against Canada, because Canada's supposed to be the best at that.
Right.
We took it from them. You contrast that with the Democrats sitting on their hands and being for illegal immigrants over American citizens and that thing. But I believe, and you also contrast that against the 250th anniversary of independence, the country. I think there's a lot of things coming I just think that people, maybe I'm wishful thinking, but we have to keep in mind that these lunatics out here, these white liberal women and these goofballs, they're a small
I know
minority.
they are.
The thing is that even people that vote Democrat a lot, they're normal. I'm talking about normal voters, normal Democrats. Even they look at some of this stuff, if they see it, as they're lunatics. And I think a lot of those people are patriotic, in a big way. And they contrast that against the liberals, and people instinctively love their country. They may have problems with it, but I'm optimistic about this year, as far as when you tie everything together, when you tie the dismantling of the Democrat Party and their Marxism and their obvious. I mean, they showed their rear end the other night in a big way. And then when you get all the medals that Trump handed out, and the gold medal, the hockey team coming out,
Yes.
and people celebrating that. People love that, and then they see the Democrats over here all upset and everything because of the U.S. hockey team celebrating America. The audacity of that team to do that, because the Democrats are so far gone, and we need to keep emphasizing that. That's just my take.
No, I think it's a good take, Tony. I think it is, and I have to tell you, buddy, in all the things that I've seen in this whole ordeal, and I'll just give you an example. If the team would have come back and Jack Hughes, who's the hero, would have got on a podium and said, "We can't stand ICE, we can't stand Trump, we're not going to the White House, we're not going to celebrate America," he would have been celebrated by the left. The Dems would have been the ones standing up when Trump brought them in Tuesday night. But because they've been patriotic, because they have been doing this, that's what they've been demonized for on the left. But I will tell the Dems this: keep doing this, because we're okay with you doing this. We're okay with you self-destructing. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay with you blowing yourself up as a political party. And I think it was the Whigs that learned this lesson the hard way back in the time of the Civil War and back in the time of Lincoln. They did this same kind of stuff, and they never talk about the Whigs 160, 70 years later, do we? Because the Whigs went into oblivion. I predict that if the Dems keep doing this, Tony, they're going to go into the same path of history. They just are. And am I right about that?
Unless they can figure out a way to cheat to the point where your vote doesn't matter, that they continue with this mail-in voting and these voting machines to where they can just tally up a vote, whatever vote they want. But that's one of the reasons why we got to do something about the vote. The Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot, but the only way they can maintain power is if they cheat, because American people aren't behind them. We know that by all the issues. They're on the 20 side of every 80-20 issue. And we got to keep up that momentum and keep fighting. We got to make this election in 26
Absolutely,
the most important election of our lifetime.
Yes, we are. Well, man, listen, I'm going to give you a few minutes to wrap us up, final thoughts, and I'm going to get you back on when we've got not all this interference on the video, because it's been a good show tonight. The audio portion of this we'll play it on Podbean. It's going to be a very fantastic interview. And it's good stuff tonight. I just what's your gut on the midterms right now? Do you think the country comes to its senses and the Republicans hold the House and the Senate, or do you think that there's going to be enough sabotage on the Republican side to give the Dems back the power that they're craving?
I think we need to be too big to rig, and we also need to fight. I think that the other night at State of the Union, there's a brilliant commercial ad that they could run over and over again, and that's the Democrats sitting on their hands throughout, especially the part where Trump said, "You have an opportunity to stand for the American people your obligation is first to the American citizens, not illegal immigrants. And they sat on their hands. I would run that as a campaign ad over and over again. If we do these kind of things, and if we treat this election 2026 like we did the Trump election last year, we're going to win.
Yeah.
Whether or not that happens, I don't know.
I'm with you, buddy. No, I'm with you.
Gets fired up.
Me too, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you being with me tonight, and I hope I got one other question before I leave. We didn't talk about the Epstein files tonight. Do you believe Hillary Clinton went on the Hill today and said, "I did not have any relations with that man"? It seems like I heard that before a long time ago from the husband. "I did not have sexual relations with that woman." Yeah. It must run in the family. But do you believe? Now, I've asked people that are good at this stuff on the internet. There are no pictures that I can find. We posted one the other night, but I'm not sure now if it was real. Mm-hmm. But she claims today that she never met Jeffrey Epstein. Do you believe that? I don't no more believe that than I believe Chris McDonald is. Well, never mind. Go ahead.
You know what? I don't care whether she met him or not, but I know who did.
Her husband did.
Over and over.
You doggone right.
He was down at the island. She says, "I've never been at the island." But you know what? The Clintons are very good at parsing words and wordsmithing. And, it depends on what the meaning of is.
Yeah.
What the meaning of meet Epstein is. Depends on what the meaning of meat is. These people are just scoundrels at a high level. And I hate to see that they're so untouchable, but, I don't know.
Yeah.
And the Republicans are doing what they can as far as Kash Patel and Bondi. I think a lot of people are frustrated that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not putting anybody in jail, but they're doing things differently than the Democrats. The Democrats are willing to show up at somebody's house at 3 a.m. with CNN cameras on frivolous charges. I don't think Bondi and Kash are able to do that.
Yeah, they need to. They need to. I think they need to. They need to.
I know. They want a tight case.
I know. I'll agree with that, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. Buddy, good stuff tonight. Listen, I appreciate you. I'm gonna say goodnight to these folks off camera, but then I will be back in touch with you soon. And good to see you tonight. Comicallyincorrect.com. Tony has fainted. I got his website right again this time. Always a pleasure, my friend. And I'm looking for the 2026 McDonald 2025 Branco cartoon, 250 cartoon. Don't make me look 250 years old, though. Have a good night, my friend. God bless.
No guarantees. Good night.
See you, Tony. Tony Branco, everybody. Put some fire in that house. And goodness gracious, sorry for all this mess tonight. Let me see if I can get back over here and see if things are going to be any better. I may have to just say goodnight to you from here. But put some fire in that house. If you enjoyed Tony tonight, we think it's our XSplit that's causing all these issues. And if you've enjoyed Tony, let us know out there. There we go. Now we got some fire coming into the house. Good stuff tonight. Good to see Jimmy Lemons. And Elaine says that was a complete lie on Hillary's part. The Clintons lying. That's what the Clintons do, Elaine. That's what they do. I actually got my screen to come up. That's what they do. Listen, what we're going to do is I'm going to be back. We got a late night show tonight. We're going to try to get James Akers on, maybe Leslie Millway, maybe. But I'll be back because I've got some video I want to share with you and some thoughts. And I'm going to try to get this situation fixed with the computer. I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's the XSplit and the Zoom. And we apologize for the video portion of it. That's why I just turned it off, and so you could hear it. What you hear is more important than what you can see. But we hope you enjoyed Tony tonight, and he made some good points. I will take a few comments and questions while I've got you here. He did a good job tonight, as always. Let's see here. Anything you want to say Um, Good to see Julia Carter in the house. Good to see you. And she says that Trump showed America where the Dems stand, and it's not for Americans. Yeah, he did, Julia, but, we already knew that. Trump just sort of brought it out in the front Tuesday night, and he's done a masterful job of it. I can tell you that right now. Dennis Floyd says, I believe God put President Trump back in office. I have to believe we will win the midterms. Thanks, Tony. Love it when you're on. And Dennis, we love him too. He's a good guy, and we appreciate that. Sheila Utley, good to see you tonight. She says, I can't believe we are paying our leaders to have a dog and pony show. It angers me the way what they're doing to the American people. All of them need to be voted out. Sheila, I'm not going to disagree with that. I am not going to disagree with that. Vote them out. And Tillis is gone anyway. And to the individuals that says, pray for us here in New York. North Carolina, we're praying for the whole country, but the North Carolina folks have got to vote. And, you got to. I'm just grateful Tillis is gone. I'll just leave it. I'm not trying to fuss at the North Carolina people. All these states have got, it seems like every state's got some kind of rhino or some kind of leader that's just not all there. But I think that all these states are under attack, and this voter integrity thing, folks, look, this voter integrity is going to be a huge, huge deal this year. And I think this is why people like Tillis and like McConnell, they're gone next year, but they're doing everything they can as they go out in the blaze of glory to destroy Trump. And they know, I think they know deep down inside, in a straight up election where there's no chicanery, Trump and his party wins going away every time. I think the things that Trump is wanting to do with the country, the majority of the country is with him. And I'm not so much even worried about 28 right now. I'm worried about 26. 28 is the slate is clean, and both parties start over in 28. And we'll worry about that when we get here. But this coming year is so vitally important that this economy gets to percolating and people feel it. But also this voter integrity issue, I think it's one of the top things that the Republicans have got to do. They've just got to do it. And this SAFE Act would go a long way to require illegals, or if you're illegal, you're not going to vote. And if you can't produce an ID at the poll, you're not going to vote. And do away with all mail-in voting. I'm sorry. Do away with that except for the military overseas. If you're overseas, and those need to be verified, that would be the only mail-in balloting I would allow. You can't, if you don't have the gumption to go vote, I'm sorry, you don't get to vote. And I put it like this. If you're going to allow mail-in ballots, our election, we have an election day. We don't have an election week. And if we can't see your vote in by the time the polls close on November the 3rd or the 4th, whenever the first Tuesday of is each year, I'm sorry, your vote gets thrown out. That's just common sense, folks. It's just common sense. Not that that's not at a premium these days in Washington, in the world, in the country. It's just common sense. And, but this voter integrity issue is going to be huge, and this lawlessness issue is going to be huge. I just hope the Republicans are smart, which may be asking too much. And as Tony said, use this that happened Tuesday night as campaign ads. They're already starting a little bit. I think they've already made one. But I'd be hammering this over and over for the next 9 months. I would let the American public know, and I think the American public saw it. Look, when CNN gave Trump a 75-25% approval rating for that speech Tuesday night, it was a bad night for the Dems, a bad look. And the only, what I call 5 minute of fame part of the whole thing for the Dems was Rashida Tlaib and Omar's petulant behavior on that camera, where she was screaming, "You killed Americans." Not that Ilhan Omar would care about Americans, because she's not American. And neither is Tlaib. And Jim Jordan today, and I hope that the Senate passes it, he's trying to put a bill to the floor, if it can get to the floor, that it would require you to be an American citizen to become a member of Congress. That needs to happen. We make it a requirement for the presidency, we need to make it for the Congress, and we need to make it for the Supreme Court. That if you're not naturally born here, I'm sorry, you don't hold office. I like that idea. How about you? How about you? I don't have the ability to put that out there, but I would, anyway. Chris Davis says the plague would have a higher approval rating than the Dems right now. Perhaps they do, Chris. Roger says the Republicans must hold the House and the Senate, or Trump's presidency is done. Roger, it's going to make it harder. It will make it harder. He'll find a way, but it's definitely going to make it harder. I will absolutely it's going to make it harder. Stephen, I'll agree with you that John Thune needs to be removed as Senate Majority Leader. Absolutely. Thank you, Cleo. And she's right, folks. If your post is not showing, you might need to reword it. We don't control that. That is YouTube's issue. And it's actually a good one, because we don't want you posting violent things and threats of that nature. I think most of you out there have some common sense about you, if not all of you. It's good to see everybody today. And Renee, I'm glad you're working for the elections this year. Good. More folks need to. Any questions tonight? I've got about 5 minutes, and then we're going to close this one down and try to regroup for later tonight. It'll be a late show. Anything else? Let's see here. There was something I saw up here. Jay Morris, good to see you tonight. He says, not many Republicans left here in Illinois. That I don't doubt, Jay. That I don't doubt. Anyway. Elaine says, I wish that her citizenship would be revoked, speaking of Omar, and she would be sent back to Somalia. That's a possibility, Elaine. Amy Miller is in the house over on Facebook tonight. She says, one of the stories that blessed me most is that the Trump administration's gathered and prayed over the president for the president before he gave a speech. We honor God, he honors us, a clear representation of good versus evil at the forefront of the night. Amy, I'm glad you brought that up. I actually had forgotten about that, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that is something that's gotten lost on the landscape. They prayed for him. There was a picture today I saw on X. They gathered around him, the cabinet did, and prayed for him. And I'm going to tell you, folks, it showed. I think God honored that prayer Tuesday night. Because that was one of the best State of the Union speeches I've ever heard. And there was something about it that flowed, and it was almost like the Lord himself was behind Trump when he was speaking. And again, he showed a lot of wisdom with the Supreme Court issue. He didn't go into name-calling of those justices. He expressed his displeasure. He's got a right to do that. They made I feel like, a terrible call on these tariffs. But he pretty much, and I think I've never seen a president confront a political party, and when he told them you should be ashamed of yourself, and again, he made them decide who you for, illegals or Americans. And the stories that he told, and you know something was so bad about it, the ashamed part is when they would not even stand up when he was talking about the gender mutilation of our kids and his efforts to stop it, and the parents of that young girl that was there and they had fought, Democrats wouldn't even applaud that. That's evil. And it is evil versus good at the forefront of this. Trump needs to have more of those prayer meetings. And we all need to be praying for him. And we're going to have another Watch of the Lord. We're going to do another one of those in April. May do it sooner, but we may do it in March. But as of now, I know we're going to do one in April. March is going to be a weird month because we got so much going on. And we're going to have a revival starting the last week of the month into April. We may change that date. I'm looking at the calendar. But Passover is April the 1st. We've got Mary Catherine Baxter. We're going to have a special, probably a 2 to 3 night event sometime in March, maybe 2 nights, honoring the 50-year anniversary for a book, A Divine Revelation of Hell. We've got people that will be coming on that know her, talking about the book, talking about that. We're going to play excerpts from it live on air, and it's going to change a lot of lives. I'm praying that God will use that to maybe cause someone to get saved. I'm believing that. I really am. And but I want to honor my dear friend, my late friend, and what the events of that book, if you've ever read it, I guarantee you won't sleep for a few weeks if you've read it for the first time. But those events in the book happened 50 years ago in March of 1976. And it's not caught off my attention that is also was when the 100-year anniversary or 200-year anniversary of our country was. And this July, we're going to be celebrating 250. So we're 50 years further. Chris was a lot younger then. I don't know where 50 years has gone. But I look at the screen, and that hair sure is a lot grayer than it was where I was in 1776. I don't know what's happened, but something did. Something did. And so forth. So good to see you, Amy. God bless you, friend. And Roger, yeah, the Dems are shameless. They are, but there's a lot of Republicans too. Anyway. Anything else tonight, folks? Anything else? Cleo Dan Crenshaw is born in Scotland. He's turned out not to be he's not been a strong, there's been stuff he's done that's been very disappointing. And, he's another one of those wishy-washy on the fencers. But I just think that what Jim Jordan is doing needs to be done. I do. I don't. It doesn't matter what party it is. I think that it needs to be done. I'll agree with that, and maybe we'll put that out as a poll tonight late to get the folks to sit. What they believe is right. I think it's the right thing to do. I just do not believe. Look, we do it for the presidency. You've got to be naturally born to run for president. I think we should have the same. And you look at these Looney Tunes out in California, this Ro Gahana or whatever his name is, and that other guy that's got looks like he's had about 1 million plastic surgeries, and I'm not trying to make fun of him, but he brings impeachment charges to the House more than Al Green does. People like that do not need to be making decisions for our country. And I think it plays out because Rashid Tlaib and Ilhan Omar are trying to make decisions that would destroy America. So I'm all for that. I hope Jim succeeds in that. Listen, I love you tonight. I appreciate you being with us. I'm so sorry for the video. I hope you heard everything. The main thing's you heard it. The content was what was important with Tony. We're going to try to fix these audio issues here in a minute. I will be back. Give us an hour and 15 minutes. We're going to see if James Akers is up tonight. And if he can come on for a little bit, talk with us about some of this foreign policy stuff. And then tomorrow night, we should be on late again, depending on some things. And but we hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. Regardless of whether we're back or not, or tomorrow, we hope you've enjoyed Tony Branco. He has been a great interview tonight. And if we continue to have computer problems, I won't be later tonight, but we will do our best to fix them. Listen, God bless you. God bless your families out there, and God bless this great nation of America. We got a lot more to say tonight, but I'm going to save it for later. Listen, much love. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for the good questions. And I'm going to try to get this screen again to XSplit is not acting right. I think it's all about XSplit. It's maybe not even the computer itself. It's just XSplit. But I'm going to break the feed now. I'm just going to turn the feed off instead of going out with the extra. God bless you out there. Have a good night, and we will see you back here a little bit later, right here on the McFiles. Put some fire in that house for Tony Branco again tonight. God bless.